Let's be real, parenting is not easy, but you are not alone. Welcome to the Parent Prescription, a podcast where I will give you real, practical advice to help you navigate the ups and downs of raising healthy, happy children without losing your mind. Have you ever wondered why your kids act better in a school setting or in a structured setting at church or anywhere but at home? In today's episode of the Parent Prescription, we are going to talk about structure and routine and why it's helpful for children. And so sit tight and pay attention because we're going to talk about the benefit of routine. Okay, so have you ever wondered why pediatricians during your wellness visits ask about your routine, your bedtime routine, sleep schedule, morning routine, those things? It's because children thrive off of routine, consistency. Actually, adults probably do too. And so, why is it? The brain needs a consistent routine to help navigate what's happening. Structure is helpful for children because when we get off of our routine, then all of a sudden things are not what I'm used to. If I can stay in a routine consistency, it helps my brain to know, just like with school, information that we're giving, if I practice it, I'm learning it, it becomes natural to me. It makes things become more natural. And so, routines that pediatricians like to focus on are, of course, the most obvious, the sleep routine. This one is extremely important of kids of all ages, is that bedtime routine. So, making sure that we have a time that we try to stick to for bed, that we're cutting everything off ahead of time, like screens, cutting the screens off ahead of time, making sure that we have a consistent place that we lay, not eating right before bed. These things not only helps us with we already talked about sleep and how much sleep we need to get, but it helps us not only with the routine of bedtime, but also so that the morning routine goes smoother. And so in the morning, we talk about the morning routine, making sure that we wake up around the same time, especially during the school year. Weekends are a little different, but you don't want to throw the routine off much, even on the weekends, because you have to start back over on Monday morning. And so the routines are important for consistency. It affects children's behavior. Yes, it does. If you are off of your routine, it can definitely affect your child's behavior. Okay? Even how they learn. The routine affects how they learn. The consistency that they have in the evening and at night. So their homework routine, dinner time, family time, all of those things, cutting off screen time, the structure and schedule that you have gets our children in a mindset for consistency. And that in return helps with learning, thinking, um, making sure that everything goes well during the day. And it makes all of the normal routines easier because I don't have to guess what's next. You don't want to have to guess. Children don't need to have to guess what's next. Why do you think the school has a routine on when English, math, reading, science, and they keep it that way for the year? You get your schedule at the beginning of the year. You do not have to expect what's next, what's happening. Lunch is at the same time. This is why our children seem to do better in a structured system than they do when they come home and they relax. Yes, kids are more free at home, but also if there's no structure or routine, there it's out the door. It's all over the place. Then when you try to set up some structure, they push against it because it's not what's normal. When things are predictable, it can decrease tantrums in our little ones. It can increase scores in our older children. It can help us not only with learning and behavior, but also with our home life, the way that we interact with each other. And so when things are consistent and expected, you'll hear me say that word, when things are expected, then you don't have to worry as much about the emotional dysregulation that children have when they don't expect that we're getting ready to go somewhere. Well, it's 9 o'clock. Where are we going? It's my bedtime. Oh, well, I've got to run here. So creating structure for your child means that you have to have a little structure for yourself so that it can be consistent with you too. We're not messing up their schedule or their routine. Okay. The reason this is important to know right before school starts is that if we can create some sort of routine or structure, it will help our children develop better, period. If I can encourage the parents to focus on one routine, one structured routine, it would be the sleep routine. That affects their mood, it affects their behavior, it affects their thought process, it affects, as we mentioned, their learning, it affects so much, even their immune system. How much sleep we get can affect if we can fight off illnesses and viruses. It affects their growth. It's so important. And so if I could have you to focus on one thing, if you go, my life is too busy to try to be completely routine or completely structured, trust me, I understand. But if we could focus on the sleep routine, then we would be in a better place. And so having a set bedtime, having a time that we cut everything off, trying to have either some downtime, reading time, bath time, book time, a board game, something calming before bed, those things are important. Okay, so if I could have you to focus on one, that's the one that I would choose. What if life gets busy? Or what if we have a vacation? What if something happens and it throws the routine off? Guess what? It's okay. Get back on routine once life gets back normal. But it's going to take a little bit more time to get back on routine. Every child is different. Some people can have where their kids on the weekend stay up till 1, 2 a.m. and then on Sunday night they're able to go right back to sleep at 9 o'clock. That's not normal, but some children can do that without the frustrations on Monday morning. Most kids cannot. Okay. And so when you're trying to get back on routine, it may take a couple of weeks of sticking to it and the consistency after summer break. That's why you need to start the bedtime routine now, and the morning routine, and getting a little bit of time at the kitchen table doing some sort of reading or work. Now is the time, right now. But getting back on schedule does take usually a week or so. Okay, so don't beat yourself up if you get thrown off, just get back on. Here are a few things that people may think that may not be true, or that's not true. People may think that kids only need routine during the school year. That is definitely a myth, not a fact. Kids need routine even when they're not in school. Is it true or false that a consistent bedtime routine improves behavior? That is so true. That is not a myth, that's a fact. Here's a good one. Children feel safer when they know what's coming next. That is true. Consistency creates a security for children. That's part of the reason why the school system does it. I feel safer because I know what's the next step, which class I'm going to next. What's next? If I have just left from lunch, I know that I'm going to recess and then going back to my main class. It's a security in structure that we should desire to give our children. The last one is small routines give us lifelong benefits. We've talked about some of these things, but the structure that you set up with your children and the routines that you set up with your children, most of them will continue those routines and things, not only for their life, but for their children. We're setting them up for structure. If you think about it, we have to go to work. Our life has some sort of routine in it that helps us to develop some consistency, and it just makes life a little bit easier. And so you want to start that young so that they can continue. This helps us, period, across the board. So this is not just for our kids, this is for us too. But we want to make sure that we are doing or trying these things for our children. So routine, structure, there are so many benefits of it. Let's try this, starting with the sleep routine, but even the morning routine, dinner routine, homework routine. There's so many things that we can have more structure to. Okay? So thank you for joining in this week for the podcast. I look forward to seeing you next week. Share this with somebody. Share it. Have a good week.